It's not just about the death, it's about how one lives the end of their life. And when you have that gift, when you have that beautiful, complete gift, it brings closure to those around you. Over the past 8 years, we have really grown to a point where people recognize, appreciate, and understanding how important end of life is. And as a result of that, you've seen a whole host of improvements. You've seen advancements in medical aid in dying, both in terms of authorizing more states and also improving the way those laws are implemented. You've seen greater awareness about the importance of planning for dementia. You've seen lots of conversations taking place around addressing inequities in end-of-life care, including people, lawmakers outside of us, with a little bit of insistence from us, starting to understand the importance of including end of life as a part of health equity conversations. So as a whole, this movement is making very substantial progress. So of course the pandemic has been devastating in so many ways, and there has been so much grief as a result of it. In terms of end-of-life choice, it actually had a positive impact, which is that people were immediately confronted with their own mortality. And you had tons of news stories that really helped to explain the importance of end-of-life care and choice and options, and the impact of not properly planning. And as a result of those stories, we saw far more attention. Organizations that never used to be interested in partnering coming forward. We did end-of-life planning campaigns with people. And so we used to be, kind of the outsiders. But people are really starting to understand that when you take steps and you plan how you die, it actually frees you up so that you can live better. And once that message is out there and you see more and more people taking control of their end, you're gonna see people having far greater lives. When you look at the spectrum of end of life, there are so many different challenges and issues that you have to figure out, where can we focus? Where can we as an organization make the biggest difference? And that's why we really try to narrow in and focus on a couple of game changers. First, it's medical aid in dying, and that is so important because it clearly establishes that the patient should have a voice and a choice in the kind of end-of-life care that they receive. The second big game changer is dementia. 1 in 2 people are impacted by dementia, yet people don't recognize that they can plan. If we can help people understand that they can plan for dementia, then we'll help them understand that they can plan for the entire end of life. And then our third big game changer is addressing inequities in end-of-life care, because not until we address inequities in end-of-life care is this movement gonna look like America. One of the most important things that Compassion and Choices started to do about 4 or 5 years ago was we formed leadership councils that represented different communities. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't have access to equal information about available options. So part of what we do through our community engagement work is we do a tremendous amount of public education work to ensure that people understand the options that are available to them, that they're engaging in advanced care planning, that they understand the full breadth of options that are available, because you obviously can't know what your values and priorities are if you haven't actually thought about it or if you don't know what's available to you. One of the things that has been so interesting as we've learned from the councils is to really understand both the similarities among different communities as well as the differences. And there is a common thread across most of these communities, if not all of the ones who kind of come and work with Compassion and Choices. And that is that they want to suffer less, and they want greater control over their end-of-life experience. They all want to be able to access the full spectrum of options. So what they all want isn't different. What's different is how the community currently interacts with the healthcare system and what's available to them. Those communities that don't currently have access to palliative care or hospice care in our current healthcare system would like to see us prioritize that, and we should. And then those communities who already have access to those things are interested in the expansion of the next end-of-life option. And so what we need to do is be sure that our programming is addressing the needs of all of those communities. So we started first with an African American and Latino Leadership Council were our first two. Now we have an Asian American Pacific Islander Leadership Council. We have an LGBTQ Leadership Council, both of which are more newly formed. And those leadership councils are helping to guide and direct us so that we both understand the communities better, and we can lift up the voices of people within those communities, and we can make sure that our programming reflects their interests and their needs and their values. For all of those communities, we hear the same thing over and over again. Yes, we support the option of medical aid in dying. However, we want to be able to access the full spectrum of end-of-life care, and right now, we're not able to do that. And so this past year, one of the exciting things that we did was we had our first ever summit to address inequities in end-of-life care. We brought together leaders from those communities, some really smart people. We heard, we listened. We produced a report that's available both in English and in Spanish, with one of our partners producing the Spanish report for us. And we're now using that report to put together a federal policy agenda. And that federal policy agenda will be designed to address the inequities in end-of-life care that exist. And we hope that all the partners that helped us or the partners that really guided us, will then become partners with us as we try to advance legislation to improve inequities in end-of-life care. The other thing this year, I think partly contributing from COVID, you saw a study that came out that showed 1 in 2 seniors are now dying with or from dementia. That's a staggering figure. It pretty much means like either you or your husband or your partner or someone is going to die with or from dementia. We're not going to escape it. And we still don't have a cure. It's something that we all have to deal with. And so I encourage you, pre-claim your voice now, use our Dementia Values and Priorities tool. You can reduce years of needless suffering, and it will be a gift to your loved ones if that's what you want. You can also ensure that you get more care if that's what you want. That's the power of the tool, is it gives the power of end-of-life decision-making to you. So part of what we as a movement need to do is remember that everybody dies, and that we have to be sure that all people from all communities can see themselves in this movement. And so it's really important as we're making progress that we are advancing the different aspects of our movement so that we keep everybody marching forward. So that means when it comes to improving care, we have to be sure that those communities who don't have access to hospice and palliative care are able to get that. And when it comes to expanding options, we need to be sure that those communities who really want control over their end-of-life decisions are able to get medical aid in dying, and that it's accessible to them. And then, perhaps most importantly, we need to be sure that people have the tools and the information that allows them to figure out how they author the final chapter of their lives. Because when they do that, it means that they will have the final gift that they want, and their loved ones will have that gift of closure and completeness. There is a huge growing awareness that how one dies matters, and we are seeing more and more organizations want to be involved with Compassion and Choices, want to partner with Compassion and Choices. And now really it's about capacity. Like this past year, we really grew our community engagement team, and we're getting ready to really grow our clinical engagement team. And the reason that we grew those two teams is because we cannot keep up with the pace of interest. We have so many opportunities, but ultimately we need to have people available to help coordinate those collaborations. We also have a tremendous number of people who want to volunteer, and so we need people that are available to coordinate those volunteers. And what's incredible is that fortunately, over the past year, we've also seen more people inspired to contribute to us, wanting to volunteer, wanting to get involved. And it is why I personally feel both grateful and inspired, because I know this movement's progress is going to continue, because I truly do believe that we are unstoppable. If there was one message that I could be sure that everyone walks away understanding, is that you matter to this movement, that you can make a difference. Whether it's you saying something to a friend, or you doing an online action, or you contributing, or you volunteering, whether it's small or large, it doesn't matter. It's the culmination of each of those acts that results in progress for us. So please, leave today and do anything. Just take one act. It can be small, and that one act is what's going to allow our progress to continue. Lots of organizations have paper values, but our values are actually real. Like, the people who come to work at Compassion and Choices come there, or the volunteers, because they are compassionate people. Like, it's a true value. It's what binds us all together, and I think that's what makes us so strong. And that's why we'll be successful, because we are leading with our values, because the people that work here, the people that volunteer, the people that contribute are all compassionate people. And that's, kind of the core of who we are.